Hi, Captain Steve for BoatTest.com, and Aquila has recently launched its newest yacht class boat, the 42 Yacht Power Catamaran. This is a boat that will take people from the day boating into the yacht category for extended cruising, or it will also take people that have had larger boats, need to scale down a little bit. So let's take a look at the features. I want to start with the interior because there are really two versions of the layout for this boat. This one is the special edition that they went with hull number 1, and it includes the galley over to the port hand side with a long counter space. Cooking is via a 2-burner induction cooktop, a convection oven below, and a microwave above. Plenty of storage both below and just beyond the counters. Over to the opposite side, there's refrigeration and more storage. 6 feet 8 inches of headroom in this space. The alternative layout, or should I say the standard layout, will have a U-shaped galley that brings the area back about to here so we can actually reach back in towards the windows, and there'll be an aft sink. With both versions, we have this window that opens outward and up, so we can really blend the inside with the outside, and it creates more of a serving area from the galley to the aft deck. Back to the interior with the special edition features. Little observation station with a VHF, Fusion stereo, the C-Zone control panel. It's side mounted so that we can see it from the settee over to the opposite side. Now in the production models, this is going to have either a settee here or a forward-facing helm with an actual captain's chair. I mentioned the Fusion stereo earlier. I should also mention that there are 3 zones: the interior salon, the flybridge, and the aft deck. All can be individually controlled. The C-Zone panel, well, we're all familiar with that. It controls all of the vessel's electrical systems and tank monitoring. But in addition to controlling the lighting from the C-Zone system, we also have physical switches, and I'm also impressed with the sheer amount of LED lighting in this salon. It just brings so much light into the area along with the windows surrounding the whole area, so it's just a nice warm feel in here. To the opposite side, we've got a U-shaped settee wrapping around a solid wood table on 2 high-low pedestals, so we can lower this table, add a filler cushion, convert this into a berth, and notice that this is all on an elevated platform 10 inches off the deck. So from the seated position, we have excellent visibility out the windows all the way out to the horizon, which we really don't even need to be elevated because the windows come down so low. Just a nice feature from Aquila that gives us additional visibility. Let's talk about climate control for a minute. We've got the aft windows that we can open up and get some ventilation through here that's supplemented by the 2 opening ports to the forward windshield, so we can really bring some fresh air through this boat. Close it all up, and then the climate control is handled from the 50,000 BTU air conditioning with 5 air handlers. While in this seated position, we not only have an excellent view of this monitoring station, but there's also a ceiling-mounted drop-down TV in this position that can come down. It'll accommodate 48, 50-inch TV. Just simply release and drop it down. I like that it's manually actuated to bring it down rather than electric, because that's one less thing to fail way down the road. Now the beauty of a catamaran is, notice these waves coming, how they don't really upset the boat very much at all. I can barely feel these waves. A little bit of pitching, but no roll whatsoever. I love that factor with a catamaran. Before we move outside, let's go on to the accommodations. Now there are several options which bring a lot of versatility to this boat. Right now, we have 2 staterooms plus 1 forward. I'll show you that in just a moment. We can go with 3 staterooms plus 1, or we can go with 4 dedicated staterooms. Let's start with this 2 plus 1 layout, beginning with the master over to the port hand side. First thing I notice, space. It's so open and airy thanks to these windows over here with an opening port light, but just so much natural light coming in. 6 feet 7 inches to the overhead, 5 feet 6 inches from side to side. The berth, this measures 79 inches by 61 inches, and there's a couple of interesting features. First of all, the climate control and outlet located right next to the berth, so you don't have to get out of the bed to adjust the climate. That's a big feature. Light switches, not only right next to the berth, there are some additional ones right at the entrance. There's drop-down storage access right along the side. More storage. There's also an interesting storage compartment right here. If I drop this down, it becomes a bit of a vanity with a mirror just above. Nice place to get ready for the day. Just ahead, this is a bit of a workstation. There's wire runs Plenty of counter space, again, right in front of this window, so you've got beautiful view as you're working on your laptop in this position. There's storage just ahead, although this, of course, right across from the entry. And then forward, we've got the head. The master head, another hull side window with an opening port light. There's also a skylight up above, so we've got a lot of natural light coming in here. Vessel sink on top of Corian counter with storage underneath. There's also a bit of a storage shelf above that's got a fiddle just to the inside of it. Nice touch there. Storage just above the electric flush toilet, and then there's an enclosed shower fully forward. Notice the storage shelves for products. The VIP stateroom is to the starboard side. Let's take a look at that. This has much the same features and berth dimensions as the master stateroom. The only main difference is the layout. The berth is forward, the head is aft, and we're shorter. And I'll show you why when we get to the bow. I said earlier that this layout was a 2 stateroom plus 1, 2 plus 1. Let's take a look at the plus 1. It's fully forward. Small step down. Now this one has limited headroom because we don't want to mess up with the panoramic view from the salon. So it's got an average ceiling height of 4 feet 7 inches, and notice that it slopes down, so that's why I say average, 4'7" in the middle. The berth measures 78 by 30. You can see there's a laundry, wine storage, plenty of storage to the side. We can also take all of this out and just make it into dedicated storage, but there are also other options. Let's go back up and talk about that. So now you can see why I talk about this cabin as being a plus 1. This layout is a 2 plus 1. We can also go with a 3 plus 1, in which case the master will be cut in half and we make that into 2 staterooms. In that option, I would say the starboard side then becomes the master. So there's our 3 plus 1, and we can also go with a 4 stateroom layout where it's 2, 3, and then make this into a stateroom by adding a head into it, which will have a step down into the starboard side hull where the head would be. That will also serve as a day head. Now let's move to the exterior. We've got this aft deck, which is huge, 18 feet 7 inches by 6 feet 5 inches, and it's protected from the extended flybridge above 6 feet 9 inches off the deck. Seating starts with a 9-foot bench going across the stern. There's a table in front of it on 2 fixed pedestals. It's expandable and, of course, collapsible. And notice that when it's in the collapsed position, we also have access still to the beverage holders, additional beverage holders over to the side, and then a grab rail. Just over and ahead to the port side, 2 stools right at the serving area that we already talked about from the galley to this aft deck. To both sides, there are access points to the swim platforms, which are huge. Take a look at these. Not only are they large, but this one also has a concealed reboarding ladder, and in true Aquila fashion, take a look at this ladder. In the center of the 2 swim platforms, there's an elevated platform 69 inches by 41 inches, and this will be used for holding a tender, a PWC, things like that. It's going to be launched by this crane just above. It can manually be moved in and out, and there's also a hook that you bring down electrically that will go onto the bridle, lift that up, and then bring it out, launch it right into the water. There are positions for holding the cradle as well. Now, 2 things I like about this crane system, and Aquila adopts them to their larger boats. First of all, you don't have a davit system sitting on the deck here that's in the way. It just makes for a cluttered deck. This is all clean all the way across. Secondly, we can hang a hammock on this thing and just sit and relax while we're at anchor. In both quarters, 10-inch cleats, heavy-duty chafing gear to the outside. This side has city water inlet, freshwater washdown connection, and a freshwater shower. And I have to say, I'm also impressed with the safety factor of 36-inch high bulwarks. The flybridge is accessed from stairs to the starboard side of the aft deck. Let's take a look. Well, aside from the fact that we have a center-mounted helm, let's talk about the seating. It begins with a lounger over on the starboard side and forward, giving us a nice view ahead, pretty much the same view as the operator and observer. Just behind, L-shaped seating wraps around the transom and goes all the way up the port hand side. Now, what I like about this is this seat back here can either swing into this position, so we have seating all the way across, or convert it into a lounge seat just ahead. Naturally, there's storage underneath all of these seats, and let's look at this table back here. It's in 2 pieces, so that we can easily get in and out from behind the table. Both are on fixed pedestals. We can also add a piece into the center to make it a table going all the way across if we wanted to have dining for everyone on board. Preparation will be just ahead at the electric grill, a sink, refrigerator, and then storage underneath. I like that there's a rail going all the way around this little island piece. All this is under the protection of the standard hardtop. There are huge stainless steel stanchions supporting it, skylights that open up. We can also enclose this whole area. As you can see, we can also delete this entire hardtop and lower the whole profile of the boat. The helm console is center mounted. The helm itself is over to the starboard side. There's a 12-inch display in the center, autopilot, Volvo Penta display, and the engine start stops. So remote control for the spotlight, and then buttons for the side power bow thruster. The electrical switches are all underneath. Horn is right here. I'd like to see that over at the end if it's not going to be red. I just want it to stand out a little bit more. Digital engine controls are over to the right-hand side. The steering wheel is mounted to a tilt base. And I like that there are rails going all the way around the console. Compass is mounted in the center of the console rather than in line with the helm. The helm seat is double wide. There are 2 flip bolsters and it adjusts fore and aft. Now notice from this position I can see down to the starboard quarter, but I can't see the port quarter from this position. That's taken care of by the camera mounted to the hardtop. As nice as this flying bridge layout is, I have to say my favorite feature is this forward set of stairs going to the bow. Great thing to have if you're talking to somebody up in the bow and you want to go visit them. Head on up there. You don't have to go down, over, and then all the way up. Plus, when you're single-handedly operating this boat, that's a great feature to have. So let's go take a look at the bow. Features at the bow start with the 2 chaise lounges. Each one is 72 inches, and they come up into chaise lounge position by lifting the back up, and there's a small panel that drops into position. This is all under the protection of 36-inch high rails, far and away exceeding ABYC standards, and also notice that there are 2 seats integrated into the bow rail. Now remember when I was in the VIP stateroom, I said that the only difference between that one and the master stateroom was it's shorter because of a compartment in the bow. Well, this is that compartment. Hatch is held open by a gas assist strut, and then just take a look at this. I mean, huge, deep compartment. Rods, reels, fishing gear, dive gear, refrigerator, freezer, easy stairs going down into it, and then more storage just behind. This is an incredibly useful compartment, especially when you consider that this is a long-range cruising boat. You can spend a lot of extended time on board this boat. There are side decks to both port and starboard. Average width from rail to rail, 26 inches, and rail height comes in at, look at that, 34 inches, far and away exceeding ABYC standards. Midship cleat, 10 inches, rails to the side of the cabin, and then of course rails to the outside. Additional cleats are to the side and front of the bow to both port and starboard. With so many features on this boat, it's easy to see why it would be such an attractive option for somebody moving up from a day boat or down from a larger boat. I'm also impressed with how it's not cramped. They put so many features in but didn't make it jammed so it's hard to get around. It's actually a very roomy boat. It's also a fun boat to be on and drive, but that's another video. Be sure to look for it. For now, this is my full features inspection of the Aquila 42 Yacht Power Catamaran. For BoatTest.com, I'm Captain Steve. We'll see you on the water.